Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about Finviz. I think this is one of the best free stock scanners on the market today. So in this review, I'm going to talk about what you can do with it, show you how I use Finviz, and we'll take a closer look at some of the visualizations that give this software its name. So let's start out by talking about the pricing for Finviz. So Finviz offers a free plan and a registered plan, as well as a premium plan. So with the free plan, you actually don't even need to sign up to use Finviz. You can just start using the software. It's pretty cool. Not a lot of software offers that these days. The registered plan, I think it's worth registering. You get up to 50 save screens as well as 50 portfolios to track stocks. Both of those plans offer access to all of Finviz's screening features. It's unbelievable how much Finviz gives you for free, and very few traders are going to actually need to upgrade to a paid plan with this software. The one caveat I'd point out for the free plan is that all of the data is delayed by 3 to 5 minutes. This is not going to matter very much if you're a swing trader or an active investor, but if you're a day trader, it is important to point out. Finviz Elite is the paid plan here. This does give you access to real-time data. It also gives you more portfolios, more screener presets, and then a few extra tools, including a backtesting module, correlation analysis, and an advanced technical analysis on your charts. So Finviz Elite costs $299.50 if you sign up for the whole year, but $39.50 per month if you just sign up on a month-to-month basis. Okay, so with that, let's dive into the screener itself. So this is the Finviz screener. As you can see, there are quite a few filter metrics listed right here at the top. They're divided into a few categories: descriptive, fundamental, technical, and ETF. You can also click all and see all of the filters in one place, but I kind of like just the organization of these three tabs. So one of the things that's really nice about Finviz's screener is it offers both fundamental and technical filters. So if you're an active investor, you can look for stocks based on fundamental metrics like price to earnings ratio, dividend yield, things like that, but also use technical filters to find really good entry points for those stocks. So to give you an example of how I use Finviz, let's say I'm looking for dividend stocks that are maybe undervalued right now or have a good entry point. So we'll go to this dividend yield filter and we'll look for stocks with a dividend yield, say let's over 2%. We'll head over to fundamental filters and I want to see stocks that have some EPS growth, we'll just say positive, and a PE ratio that's reasonable, let's say under 30. Now we have a list of stocks down here, but I want to narrow this down further by looking for stocks that have a really good entry point. So just to narrow that down a little bit, I want to look at stocks that are a little bit oversold. So we'll use RSI for that. And now we've got a list of 18 stocks here that could be really interesting to look at as dividend stocks at a good entry point. So as you can see here, your results are displayed in this table, and there are a couple different tables available that you can scroll through here. So the overview table gives you basic information about the company, the ticker symbol, what sector it's in, its market cap, its price to earnings ratio. For investors, the valuation and financial tabs are going to be really helpful here. They let you see the price to earning ratio, price to book, EPS expectations, and more. And so financial dives in even more. You can actually look at what the dividend yields are on these stocks, as well as their profit margins, when they're reporting earnings, return on assets, things like that. The ownership tab is another interesting one. This lets you see some information about the share structure as well as what percent of shares are owned by institutions and insiders versus the general public. Now, swing traders and active investors operating on shorter timescales are going to be really interested in this performance tab. This is where you can see performance over multiple timescales as well as relative volume in the past 24 hours. The technical tab I find to be not as useful. I like to look at this information in chart form, but if you like looking at, price relative to moving average, this table gives you a really quick rundown of where the price stands relative to those moving averages. Now, the thing that I like most about the Finviz scanner is that you can actually look at your screen results as miniature charts. This is really useful, especially if you're a swing trader looking for opportunities, because you can just take a quick look at these charts, see, in this case, the 50-day and 200-day moving averages, as well as trend lines, and get a really quick idea of whether a stock is setting up for a move up or down. And we'll just scroll through these charts, and you can just see, looking at opportunities here, looking for things like moving average crossovers, or stocks with momentum. Based on my search parameters, generally there's downward momentum for some of these. But if you see a stock you're interested in, you just click on the chart and it'll bring it up in a bigger form. There we go. One thing to note about Finviz is that unless you have an elite plan, you actually can't plot more technical indicators on these charts. Honestly, for me, that's not a big deal. If I'm doing my charting, I'm doing it in a software like TradingView or Thinkorswim. I'm not doing it in Finviz. I'm using this as a scanner primarily. So if we go back to the screener now, one thing I want to point out is that with these screening parameters, you're limited to basically these preset numbers here. You can't enter your own custom filters unless you have an elite subscription. I don't think this is a big deal. There are a lot of options for all of these filters. I don't think you're going to find yourself being limited unless you have some really, really specific strategy. Okay, so that's the Finviz screener, and now I want to take a look at some of the visualizations that this platform offers. The first one here is the heat map. I'll be honest that I don't find the heat map to be that helpful. The boxes are always organized by market cap. There's no way to change that. And looking at things by market cap is just generally not that helpful for most traders and investors. What this is good for is just getting a quick look at the overall market. You can see which sectors are up and which are down, as well as sort of the magnitude of those changes. The default here is to show stocks in the S&P 500, but you can also look at stocks around the world as well as ETFs. And you can look at performance over different time frames and factors like PE ratio. Again, to me, this is not the best way of looking at stocks. But what I think is really neat about Finviz is that it also offers bubble charts. And these bubble charts are really useful. So diving into these bubble charts, we can actually look at stocks based on 4 different factors at a time. We have an x-axis to work with, a y-axis, the size of the bubbles, and their color. And so we can do some really neat stuff with this. Let's say, again, we want to look at dividend yield. So we'll put that on the x-axis. Now, on the y-axis, we'll leave percent change there. So stocks that are having a pretty good day are high on this chart. Market cap is not necessarily the most useful way to size the bubbles in this case. Let's look at relative volume. We want to see dividend stocks that are trading with above average volume. And then finally, we want to look at, let's say, analyst recommendations for these stocks. This is pretty cool. So darker green indicates that it's more highly recommended by analysts. So now, as we're looking at this chart, I just pulled up Newmont Corp. It has a reasonable dividend yield. It's grown quite a bit in the last day of trading, and it's highly recommended by analysts and has relatively high volume, 2.5 times its average volume. So this is just an example of a stock that I might want to investigate a little bit further. And what's really cool about the bubble charts in Finviz is it lets you pull out these outlying stocks and find opportunities visually. You can play around with the axes, you can play around with the bubble colors, and really find stocks that stand out that wouldn't necessarily appear right away in a traditional stock scan. So those are the really standout features of Finviz, but there are a few other things I want to talk about. So I'll show you the news tab here. This is just a basic news feed. It pulls in news from MarketWatch, Yahoo, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Bloomberg, stuff like that. There's also blog posts here from Zero Hedge, Seeking Alpha's in there, outlets like that. And so this is not Benzinga Pro. It's just a very basic news feed. It lets you see if there is news about stocks in your screens and just gives you a quick way to keep an eye on what's going on in the market. Another thing to look at in Finviz is this Insider tab. Again, this is not my favorite feature, but it's nice to have. Here you can see insider trading across all of the stocks that Finviz tracks. Things with red highlighting are sales. Things with green highlighting are buy actions by insiders. You can also filter based on buy or sell transactions. These are not super organized. There's no way to sort this table based on these columns, and there's no other filters available. So again, it's not the best way to look at insider trading, but it's nice to have there. It's totally free, so I have no complaints about it. And then finally, I want to actually go and take a look again at the Finviz homepage. This is really just a great overview of the market. It shows you the number of stocks advancing versus declining, whether the market's bullish versus bearish. You can take a quick look at the heat map to see what sectors, if any, are net gaining or losing. And you can just see a quick look of top gainers and top losers in the market. This is not customizable, so it's pretty limited. but it's just a nice overview to have as a dashboard before you head over to the screener and start working out stocks that fit your strategy. Okay, and that is Finviz. My take on this platform is that it is an absolutely great free stock scanner. It's really powerful for swing traders and active investors. Day traders might have a little bit of a harder time using it and will definitely need to upgrade to Finviz Elite, but most swing traders and active investors can get away with Finviz free, and it pairs really well with a charting software like TradingView, Thinkorswim, or whatever your favorite charting software is. Definitely recommend giving it a try. You don't even have to sign up to start using it, so definitely worth giving this a look. Okay, those are the major features of Finviz that I wanted to cover and the ones that I use. My overall take on this software is that it does have some limitations, but it's completely free to use for most traders and active investors. That's pretty hard to beat, and the screener is pretty powerful. It offers a lot of filter options, and I really love being able to look through miniature charts and quickly find opportunities. The bubble maps are another highlight, where it lets you tease out stocks that are a little bit different and that might be hard to find with a traditional screen. You can try out Finviz without even signing up for an account, which is just a great opportunity to test this platform out and see how you like it yourself.